I had a bad acid trip when I was 19, which was in 1999, New Year's Eve of 99, as a matter of fact, when the Y2K scare was in full swing. It's just off camera, but I've got a arm stabilizer on. It's my shoulder. I'm having surgery. It's already really bad. But so if I'm talking with my hands and my right hand is, weird looking, that's why. This video was requested and I'm shooting it on a bit of a enhanced timetable. Not using quite as much production stuff. So, not that my videos are like really produced or anything, but this one will probably be a little bit plainer than even normal. So, Y2K was in full swing. Everybody thought there was a pretty decent chance that all the computers were just gonna, explode when they rolled over from 99 to 2000. And if you don't know why, because a lot of years represented with just 2 years, 98, 99, and then zero, a lot of people were afraid the software would think it was 1900, and that would obviously throw a lot of things off. Me and my friends, we celebrated New Year's Eve like you might expect, we got a sheet of red rose acid. This stuff was so strong that all my friends were taking a quarter hit each. And a hit is a tenth of a strip, which is a tenth of a sheet. So they were taking a quarter hit each. I, of course, I don't know if I was trying to be better than everybody else or if my tolerance really just got higher than everybody else's faster. Probably most of it. I started off with a half of a hit. Maybe it was a whole hit. But by the end of it, I took like 2.5 whole hits because it wasn't affecting me, the way I thought it should be, etc. So, it was a pretty good night until it got bad. And I remember being in my parents' house. The hallway was going back and forth, and I was literally falling from one wall to the other because it was throwing me around. Obviously, that wasn't really happening, so something was crazy. I was in bed for like 3 weeks. I went from the bed to the tub, and that was it. This was a year I was actually suspended from college because I made such a low GPA. I ended up going back and doing like 160 more hours, triple major, and because of this trip, which is what I'm about to explain. So there was this green corona aura circle thing in my vision for 20 years. Like, I just stopped seeing it relatively recently. I can see it when I want to. Like, if I look at bricks on a wall, they start melting. And I don't just mean like defocus. I mean like they start moving. It's really, really been very difficult to adjust to. About the only good thing that came out of it was it made me a genius with math. And not like those guys that you can throw out really long numbers and they just tell you what it equals, but like remembering numbers, learning calculus. I failed calculus for non-engineers the year before this happened, in 98. The year after, I went back, took the same class, and I got an A+. Didn't go to any classes, didn't study for anything, just went to the quizzes and the test, done. A+, like a 99. I think I got one thing wrong the whole year. It's crazy. And this isn't bragging, this is what acid did. So, I declared a triple major in physics, math, and economics. Previously, I was pre-law / economics and didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was in school for 4 more years. Like, I went back after, it was like 6 more months of being in the bathtub and not being able to speak. I couldn't make words for a while. The night it happened, my best friend brought me a bottle of NyQuil and a bottle of Jack Daniels at like 5 in the morning because I couldn't stop freaking out. I was losing my mind. And I chugged the NyQuil, chugged the bottle of Jack Daniels, and still was like on edge, freaking out. Eventually passed out hours later. Socially, it screwed me up. Like, I had been diagnosed with Asperger's already, which today is autism spectrum disorder, kind of the mild-ish one. A lot of geniuses have Asperger's, and I was already really smart. Like, my IQ was high, and I was gifted. all through elementary, middle, and high school. I was in the topper level classes, never tried, made really good grades. So I was already smart, but I could not understand Algebra 3 trig in high school. I was terrified of calculus for non-engineers in college, and I failed it because it was so incredibly confusing to me. So it's obviously the abstract thing is what it gave me. So the calculus for non-engineers was Math 121. I took that, got an A+, replaced my grade. GPA went from a 1.1 to like a 3.2 or something. It was insane. Obviously, you take an F, which is worth, I think, no points, to an A+, which is 4.3, and factor that in, when I only had, 2 semesters of grades before, so 3 total semesters. I ended up taking so many chemistry classes that I got a minor by accident. I took Chem 1, 2, and 3, loved it. Then took Organic Chem 1 and 2, loved it. Aced all of it, A's and everything, minor. The math and physics I declared as a major. What was I saying about math? 141, 241, 242, that was calculus 1, 2, and 3. Calculus for non-engineers was 121. It was like the joke calculus class, the really easy one, basically. Then I took Differential Equations 1 and 2, and I can't remember which above that it was, but I was like one class away from a math major. I left with 196 hours and a 3.6 GPA. So, for math and science processing and schooling and whatever, it was great. But I had to smoke weed the whole time just to be able to cope with the reality of having skin and having to eat. But I started to kind of get back to normal. It took a lot of drugs, unfortunately. I was on Adderall and Xanax, prescribed, diagnosed with ADD, with anxiety disorder, social anxiety, depression, PTSD, like a bunch of stuff. So, I was already a little messed up, but this totally fucked me up. My sister had been injured when I was young and badly, and it really messed our family up and my development, and obviously her entire life was much different. But specifically to the acid, the reason I'm sticking with the school stuff is because it's so crazy that somebody bad at math can have a bad trip and then do all that. I mean, I think anybody would agree to that part. The part that is hard to explain is what it did to my ability to actually function in this world. I ended up I bounced in and out of recovery and relapse and several rehabs, and I'd be clean and sober for a while, and then I'd relapse for a month, 6 months, a year, and then be clean for half a year, year and a half was the longest that I got until this recent one. Right now, I'm married for 12 years and have a 12-year-old. And, by the way, this is my dog. Right here, if you can't tell. Say hey, Tucker. Hey, Tucker. So anyway, and my mouth is dry. I don't have any water. It's really unfortunate because it probably looks pretty irritating to watch. Medication and self-medication with drugs and isolation, loneliness, because, it's not just that I was a little messed up, and then not just that I was a full-blown addict and alcoholic and, clean and sober, not just that, pretty smart and isolated, because in most conversations, people would always think I was talking down to them because I would just explain things in such a way that it seemed that way, or, I still don't really understand exactly why that was that way, but it was. And so not only all of that, but then this bad trip, and it, if you haven't done acid, then you don't understand the power of acid. But if you have done acid and haven't had a bad trip, you still don't understand what the power of a bad trip is. And I mean, the best way I can describe it is it basically was a trip that never ended. It was really, like, as far as chemicals in my brain, it was insane, the amount. But point is, all of that stuff together has made me the way that I am. The bad trip, like the green circle, closed eye visuals, is a thing that they, like, it's supposedly doesn't happen very often. I don't see how that's possible, but I had the green circle, and then there was all kinds of other stuff going on, and I closed my eyes, and sometimes it would be different or it would change, but it was definitely still there. There were certain things I couldn't look at, certain sounds I couldn't see. I basically had to be stoned every second of every day. I would literally wake up, get high, and then I would have to smoke pot to go to sleep, and then I'd smoke pot all day long. And you could say, oh, pothead, and okay, sure, but also self-medicating, like feeling like my body was melting, and like it did some good things in that same way. It connected me to some bigger, deeper things. It gave me a way to visualize things that are unvisualizable, like space-time and inside atoms, and like what's at the edge of our universe. And like I started coming up with kind of theories or predictions or whatever that turned out to be like one of them was that memories literally are stored with every non-memory type memory thing also, and PTSD is just really intense memory storage with an event. And you can like make yourself remember things better by remembering them with an emotion, stronger emotion. I'm very emotional. I'm very aware of my emotions. I'm able to detect other people's emotions quite easily and quite thoroughly, and like kind of impossibly, like reading people, I guess.
I know things. I read people's minds, Little glances across tables. It's a gift.
When I've tested it, I've found out that I was almost always exactly right. Obviously, you can't test it with like strangers. Just walk up to them and be like, hey, what's your life story? I predicted 9/11. It was because I was in a modern Middle Eastern history class in the summer of 2001, but I came home every weekend and told my parents, we're going to get attacked. They hate us so much, you don't know. And they're doing stuff already. It's going to be bad. It's going to be big. I had gas masks for a terrorist attack before 9/11 happened. An uncanny ability to see the future and to see things that most people can't see. And like some of that's good. Like I'm not bragging, because you have to understand that along with that comes a lot of suffering and confusion and like inability to do certain things. Like I can read people really well and I'm really in touch with my emotions, but there are like ways in which it's all messed up, and really it's come back. I'm almost all the way back to who I was when that trip happened, as far as, not being f***ed up, like having visuals and like my brain telling me things, and, not sleeping 3 days at a time, crazy stuff. So the point is that the bad acid trip was insane, and like I really wouldn't wish it on anybody. It takes away any blissful ignorance that you ever could have had about life, any naivete. It makes you painfully aware of everything all the time. And when I say everything, I mean like your emotions, other people's emotions, what's happening around you, what's happening a long way away. Like you could think about 100 things at one time, but you can't think about one thing at a time. I mean, the way you would describe some like ADD or autism, it's like all of that together times 100 with mushrooms thrown in. Like it's really hard to describe. Really, really difficult to live with for a long time. I mean, when I would get to know somebody well enough, I would explain the, math thing, the bad trip acid math thing. A lot of times people would be like, that's so cool, I wish that would happen to me. And you don't. All of it. If you watched all the way to here, then I'm making these for you. I hope it was entertaining or informative or something. Any thoughts, comments, if you liked it, click the stuff. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I know these aren't that good. They're getting better, I hope. And I also hope that they're going to reach like a really unique, small portion of the total that really needs to hear it. Because I know most people don't need or want to hear a lot of this stuff. But there's people like me out there. I know there are. And if I could have watched or listened to this kind of thing, even just for a little bit of entertainment, I would have. But it's helpful to see somebody else's perspective that's been through some crazy ass stuff. So, mouth getting dry again. I guess that's probably where I'll leave it. So, until next time, this side or the other. Damn, I just realized that fan's on. I got an alarm beeping. I'm probably gonna have to reshoot this whole thing because I look like shit for some reason. So,